Shalom. Thank you for joining us for the Children of Light Bible study. We're going to go ahead and get started with prayer. Father, High, we thank you for your love, your kindness, your mercy, and for always being with us. Please continue to order our steps. Please give the children a learnable spirit. Give us all a learnable spirit and teachable spirit. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Lord's Prayer in ancient Hebrew. All right, I want to hear you guys loud and clear. You ready?
Yes.
All right.
Shabbat Shemayim, Madat Chaya Shaka, Ahaya, Malakota, Yavaha, Ratizawaka, Haya,
Together. Kowa, Haya,
Haya, Ratizawaka, Nakim, Haya, Wasulam, Nawa, Kawa, Nawa, Kasulam, Nawa, Kawa, Nawa, Kawa, Biden, Nawa, Saiwa, Allah, Shai, Nawa,
Alright. So now we're going to do the Lord's Prayer in English. Alright, on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from God is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Alright, now we have our credo in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Alright, let me hear you on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Shemai.
Lord God is one Lord. Shemaya Shemaya
Okay, wait. This very last one, I need you guys to have some energy. Y'all sound like y'all asleep or something. Come on, some energy. Last time. I'm going to say it one time, okay? All right, let's go. Shemaya
Shemaya. The Lord God is one Lord.
Good, much better, much better. All right, now we're going to have the alphabet in ancient Hebrew.
The Hebrew alphabet.
Yes, the alphabet in ancient Hebrew. Can everyone see?
Yes.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Abba Gadaha Watakataya Kalamanasai Patilakrasana Abba Gadaha Watakataya Kalamanasai Patilakrasana Abba Gadaha Watakataya
All right, good job. All right, next we have our numbers, yes, in ancient Hebrew. Keziah, would you like to lead us the first time? All right. Good. But now lead us this time.
1. Akkad, 2. Shemaiah, 3. Shalasha, 4. Abraham, 5. Kamasha, 6. 10 I saw.
All right. Good job. Moving along to the numbers.
Another one.
Our
So
numbers
excited.
11 to 20. Annalisa, would you like to lead us? First one.
11 I saw. 12 I saw. 13 I saw. 14 I saw.
There we go.
15 I saw. 16 Sasha I saw. 17 Shabbat I saw. 18 Shemana I saw. 19 I saw. 20
All right, so there's going to lead the second time. Everyone, nice and loud together.
11 I saw. 12 Shania I saw. 13 Salasha I saw. 14 Obama I saw. 15 Kamasha I saw. 16 Sasha I saw. 17
Well, all together, start at 17.
17 I saw. 18 Shemana I saw. 19 I saw. 19 I saw.
What's 20?
I saw.
All right, you want to go ahead and lead us this last time, please? 11.
11 I saw. 13
All together.
Repeat after me. Repeat after me, y'all. 12.
12
Shanayim Aishar.
Shania I saw.
13.
13
Shalasha Aishar.
Salasha I saw.
14.
14
Araba Ainha Aishar.
I saw.
15.
15
Hamasha Aishar.
Kasha I saw.
16.
16
Shisha Aishar.
Shasha I saw.
17.
17
Shabbat Aiha Aishar.
Shabbat I saw.
18.
18
Shemawana Aishar.
Shemana I saw.
19.
19
Shisha Aiha Aishar.
Asha I saw.
20.
20
Asharayam.
I saw.
All right. And last but not least, we're going to do our colors in ancient Hebrew.
Yay.
Everyone's honored. All right. Blue.
Blue.
Kawal. Red.
Red,
Ottawa.
Ottawa,
Orange.
orange,
Tawal.
Kasawa,
Yellow.
yellow,
Let's all say it together. Tzahawa.
Kasawa,
Green.
Green.
Yarawa.
Yarawa,
All right, one more time. Blue.
blue,
Kakawa.
Kakawa,
Red.
red,
Ottawa.
Ottawa,
Orange.
orange,
Tzahawa.
Kasawa,
Together, y'all. Yellow. Tzahawa. Green. Yarawa. Blue. Kakawa. Red. Ottawa. Orange. Tzahawa. Yellow. Tzahawa. Green. Yarawa. All right. Good job, y'all. All right. Who knows what we're learning today?
First Chronicles.
Yes, First Chronicles. All right. So we're going to get a little bit about First Chronicles. Then we're going to go ahead and go into our lesson. Everyone turn to First Chronicles, please, and raise your hand when you're there.
That's it.
All right. So in First Chronicles, it was written by Ezra, and we'll learn about Ezra in a couple weeks. It was written between 450 and 400 BC, and the title First Chronicles talks about the history of God's people from Genesis to Kings. So it covers all of those books.
From Genesis to what?
Mm-hmm. And First Chronicles means accounts of the days in ancient Hebrew. Accounts of the days, yes. Mm-hmm. All right. So in First Chronicles, in the very beginning, between chapters 1 to 8, or chapters 1 through 8, it talks about the genealogy of the 12 tribes. Now you guys may be wondering, what is a genealogy, right? All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and explain to you guys what a genealogy is before we continue.
So with a genealogy, think about it as you have a grandma, you have your mother, and then you have you, and then you have kids. So a genealogy is like a family tree. You guys know what a family tree is?
No.
So you have your grandma. it's
Think about your dad. Your dad, who's his parents? Shepherd and Amah. So Shepherd and Amah had your father, and then your father married your mom, and then they had you, Uzziah, and Kaya.
and then when you guys get older, you guys will marry and then have children. And then your children is going to have children.
So everybody get what a genealogy is?
Yeah.
All right. So chapters 1 through 8 in First Chronicles, it covers the genealogy of all 12 tribes. So we're going to get to that eventually. Yeah, all the 12 tribes. All right. Now, after that, let's go ahead and turn to chapter 11. Yes. Go back. All right. So, in chapter 11, we learned last week about David, right? Well, the week before last, we learned about David. And this week, we're going to learn about David's mighty men and who they were. But before we do that, let's do a quick recap. So, what tribe was David from, King David? And how do you say that in Hebrew? Good, Yahweh. All right. And what did King David do before he became a king? Who remembers? What did King David do before he became a king? Anybody remember? What is it? Well, why did he fight a pack of wolves? There wasn't a pack of wolves either. He was a shepherd, a bear and a lion.
Shepherd.
All right, good. So, was David the first king of Israel or the second king of Israel?
Second.
All right, the second king of Israel. All right,
Who was first?
bonus question. What tribe was Saul from? Yes. There you go. Bonus. What tribe was? What tribe is Benjamin?
How do you say it in Hebrew?
All right. I got the bonus.
Y'all reading your Bibles.
All right. He did. That's one thing about David. He did fight Goliath. Anybody else know what else something David did? That's okay. We'll talk about it. So, David's mighty men. How many mighty men do you think David had?
Don't just say a lot. Give a number.
994.
Okay, that is a number.
1 billion. 1
I don't think he had 1 billion. All right, so we'll take a look. All right, so remember y'all numbers, and when we read it, we'll see how many he had. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start at verse 10. So we're going to read First Chronicles chapter 11, verse 10. Everyone at chapter 11 and verse 10. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read it now. First Chronicles chapter 11, verse 10. These also are the chief of the mighty men whom David had, who strengthened themselves with him in his kingdom and with all Israel to make him king, according to the word of the Lord concerning Israel. Chapter 11, verse 10. All right, we're going to read verse 11. And this is the number of the mighty men whom David had. Joshua. What did Joshua be? Joshua be? Okay, thank you. Hachmonite, the chief of the captains, he lifted up his spear against 300, slain by him at one time. Yeah, 300. He killed 300 at one time. Wow. All right, verse 12. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahite, who was one of the 3 mighties. So how many mighty men did he have?
3.
All right. Okay. Mighty. All right. Yes. So how many mighty? Why 3?
Because they were so mighty.
Those 3 were chief of the mighty.
So how many chief mighty men did he have?
3.
3.
11.
3 chief mighty men. He had a lot of mighty men, but he had 3 that were chief. So that means they were over. So there's the mighty men. Stop. There were the mighty men, and then there were 3 that were over the mighty men. So they were chief over.
Yeah, go to 15 and it'll tell you how many he had.
All right, so let's go ahead and read verse 15. Now 3 of the 30 captains went down to the rock to David into the cave of Adullam, and the host of the Philistines encamped in the valley of Rephaim. So how many did you guys hear? 3 of what? The 30. So we're going to keep right here where we're at in verse 15. We're going to go down to verse 16. And we're going to see one of the things that the mighty men did. And we're going to see it. You guys ready? You guys ready?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was interesting. All right. All right, verse 16. And David was then in the hold, and the Philistines' garrison was then at Bethlehem. A garrison is like a military camp. Like a garrison? Like a camp, right? Military camp. So there were Philistines at a camp inside of Bethlehem. And David longed and said, "Oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem that is at the gate." So in Bethlehem, there was a well, and he just wanted to drink from that water. Drink from that well, that water. Mm-hmm. And his mighty men heard what he said. Let's see what the mighty men did. All right, so in verse 18, and the 3 break through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate and took it and brought it to David. But David would not drink of it, but poured it out to the Lord. So it said they break through the host of the Philistines. So they break through their army and they went to that well and got it for King David. You think that might have been easy to break through a whole army? Oh, okay.
They had what?
The Lord. What did they say?
The
Lord.
Lord. The
They
Lord.
had
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah. I see.
Okay,
I see.
I see where you're going.
All right.
I see where you're going. Backing up the answers.
All right, so that was what they did. Let's go ahead and read verse 19. So before we get to verse 19, they gave it to David, and David poured it out to the Lord, our Lord Yeshua. In verse 19, and said, my God forbid it me that I should do this thing. Shall I drink the blood of these men that have put their lives in jeopardy? So yes, it was easy because they had Yeshua, but they did put their lives in jeopardy to get that. And that's what David was acknowledging when he said that. For with the jeopardy of their lives, they bought it. Therefore, he would not drink it. These things did these three mightiest. So, how cool was that? They did that to give David a drink from the water, from the well.
So if your parents was thirsty, how many of you would walk all the way to Russia and all the way back and give your parents a glass of water? Would you walk to a different country to give your parents a glass of water?
I go
You go where?
to
She gonna go by a plane. No, you gotta walk.
So you gonna go to the fridge? You have to go to the restroom?
She's at the fridge. These Okay, you said you'd walk really, really far.
No, I see the car.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. So that was one thing that David's mighty men did. They did way more. So that's just one thing we just read about. But now we're gonna go ahead and move over to chapter 16. So everyone, go ahead and turn to chapter 16. Yes. Thank you. All right, keep your finger on it so you don't lose it. All right, perfect. So with chapter 16, starting at verse 7, we're not going to read it. We're just going to mention it real quick. This was a psalm, one of the songs that David had wrote. And when we get to Psalms in a couple of weeks, we'll get to see more songs. And we'll learn more of what a psalm is. Psalm. But Psalms, you know. So when we look at First Chronicles chapter 16, verse 7, we're starting at verse 7. This is a psalm, and this psalm is actually Psalm 105. So, like I said, we'll learn about this in a couple of weeks about Psalms. But yeah, Psalms 105, 1 through 15. That's a psalm of David. All right, so you guys can look at that, and then again, we'll look at that in a couple of weeks. But we're going to go ahead and move along to our next thing. We're going to move over to chapter 21. So let's keep turning our pages to chapter 21. Go to chapter 21.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so in chapter 21, chapter 21. So in chapter 21, David did something that he shouldn't have done. He was operating in pride, and he numbered the children of Israel. So he counted how many people were in Israel. So we're going to read one quick verse real quick. And that's going to be First Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. So he was operating in pride, and then he ended up counting all the people. But then Yeshua sent somebody to correct what he did because it was wrong. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about someone named Nathan and Gad. You guys remember who they are? No. So Gad is a seer. So Nathan was a prophet for Yeshua. You remember with David and Bathsheba? Yeshua used Nathan to deliver the message to King David about what he did with Bathsheba was really wrong. So now we know. So next time you guys hear the name Nathan or Gad, the seer, you know it's not talking about the 12th tribe person, Gad, but Gad the seer is a seer for Yeshaya. So Gad the seer went to King David and told him what he did was wrong and that there would be a punishment, and he had to choose from 1 to 3 punishments. And he chose a punishment, and you guys can see that in verses. But I want to get right to it. So let's see, verse 12. So he had to choose from these things. So let's go ahead and read verse 12. First Chronicles chapter 21, verse 12. Either 3 years of 3 years famine, or 3 months to be destroyed before thy foes, while that the sword of thy enemies overtaketh thee, or else 3 days the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, and the angel of the Lord destroying throughout all the coast of Israel. Now therefore advise thyself what word I shall bring again to him that sent me. So Gad the seer came. He told David, Yeshua is giving you these 3 options. You have to choose. Let me know what you're going to choose, and I'll bring it back to Yeshua. So you guys want to know what he chose? All right. We're going to go ahead and read verse 13. Yes, verse 13. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord. For very great are his mercies, but let me not fall into the hand of man. So the Lord sent pestilence upon Israel, and there fell of Israel 70,000 men. Is that a lot of people?
Yes.
So he chose that one instead. So that's what happened in chapter 21. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to chapter 22. Mm-hmm. So in chapter 22, before we get to there, actually, did David build the temple for Yeshua? No. Mm-hmm. So we learned about that last week. The week before last. But we didn't learn about the why he could not build the temple. Who was supposed to build the temple? Not Moses. His son. What was his son's name? What was King David's son's name? Yes, Solomon. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to look at that. So now in chapter 22, we're going to go ahead and get the why as to why he was told not to build it. You guys ready? You guys want to know why?
Yes.
I got a couple of people saying yes. All right, cool. All right. So, First Chronicles chapter 22, verse 6. Then he called for Solomon, his son, and charged him to build an house for the Lord God of Israel. And David said to Solomon, my son, as for me, it was in my mind to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God. But the word of the Lord came to me, saying, thou hast shed blood abundantly, and hast made great wars. Thou shalt not build an house unto my name, because thou hast shed much blood upon the earth in my sight. So why couldn't he build the house, the temple?
Because Solomon.
But he said why. Did you guys hear the why? Why? Yes?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'll repeat it. Yes, I'll go ahead and repeat it though. So we're going to start at verse 8. But the word of the Lord came to me, saying, thou hast shed abundantly, and hast made great wars. Thou shalt not build a house unto my name. Did you hear it? Oh, First Chronicles chapter 22. And we just read verse 8.
So what did David do that Yeshua told him, you won't build it, but your son? It was because David did what?
Shed what?
Shed much blood.
Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why he didn't build it, but his son Solomon was going to build it. Okay? David wanted a house for Yeshua, so I'm pretty sure he was happy either way, as long as the house was being built for Yeshua. And that his son was going to get to do it. So I'm pretty sure he was happy. Mhm. All right, so now that we know, so now King David has told Solomon what he's going to do for Yeshua, right? So now we're going to go ahead and move over to chapter 29. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, chapter 28. Yes, chapter 28. Yes, 28. Everybody got 28? We didn't get the verse. So in chapter 28, we're going to see something. So in verse 11 and 12 is what we're going to read. But now we see he's going to get the layout, the pattern of how this temple is supposed to be built. Okay? So we're going to read First Chronicles chapter 28, verse 11. Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch and of the houses thereof, and of the treasuries thereof, and of the upper chambers thereof, and the inner parlors thereof, and the place of the mercy seat. So these are all items and how the building was supposed to be made. And we're going to learn about this next week, actually. And the pattern of all that he had by the spirit of the courts of the house of the Lord, and of all the chambers round about, of the treasuries of the house of God, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things. So, imagine your parent tells you you're going to build this, and they give you the blueprint. How do you guys feel? You guys feel excited? Do you think Solomon was excited?
Yeah.
All right. Somebody said no. Okay.
I said it now.
Huh? Nah? Nah? Like no? Okay.
If it's foolish, they talk.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and skip down a little bit. So now he's got the blueprint. He has the pattern on how to build the temple. And now in verse 29, we see that Solomon is now anointed king over Israel. And now,
We're going to learn about Solomon a little later.
yeah. So now he's king of Israel, and now he has an assignment to do, which is to build the temple. All right. So, do you guys think that he built the temple? Yeah?
I will say yes.
You will say yes? Okay. Well, next week we're going to learn if he did, and if he did, what's inside the temple and how it was made. All right. So that's what we're going to leave off today. So now Solomon's king over Israel, and he has an assignment to do. So that's what we're going to remember. And next week we're going to go into it in Second Chronicles.
Yay! I know it's like
Good. So you'll be excited when we get to it. All right. So we want to thank you guys for joining us for Children of Light Bible Study. Please join us for our main Shabbat lesson at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Kwam Yasharala.
Hi.
Get your Bibles ready.